My Lord ordered me to step out of the bar, ordered me to the rope, and said he's committing me to prison for 1 month. I'm waiting for the conviction warrant. So I'm going to your prison from here. I think it's also an opportunity to get to see people that are there.
The custodial centers are satanically and diabolically congested. The Nigerian custodial centers is a preparation ground for hellfire. I was in court on the 27th day of July 2022 for continuation of hearing in a case instituted by the current governor of Akwa Ibom State, where he sued my client. And then I went to court on that day. And then by the time we got to court, we waited for the Honorable Chief Judge to arrive. So at about 10 a.m., His Lordship came into the courtroom. My Lord essentially ordered the orderly, a police orderly attached to the court, to the Honorable Chief Judge, to go out and bring in the policemen. We were a bit confused as to what was going on. 1-2 minutes after, and then he was accompanied by 2 mobile policemen, fully kitted in their uniform with AK-47 rifle. One sat to the right, the other sat to the left, each of them with AK-47 rifle. My Lord then ordered that a witness who I had started cross-examining at the previous date should enter the witness box for continuation of cross-examination. I was on the third question, when my Lord interrupted me and then pointed at a certain reporter, a journalist who was seated in the gallery. And then he stood up. The gentleman by name Savior stood up, and my Lord asked him who he was, what his mission was in the court. He's a journalist. My Lord then asked, are you a government journalist? And then he said no, that he was a journalist with Premium Times. And then immediately he mentioned Premium Times. My Lord became very enraged, very displeased, and then ordered that his phone should be seized, and then he was taken and detained. So I said, my Lord, I have also observed the presence of armed mobile policemen inside the courtroom. That even though I am ordinarily not intimidated by their presence, but however, that their presence in court with arms had created hostility in the courtroom, which is actually the truth. And that it had made it difficult for me to continue with cross-examination, for me to continue with the proceedings of the day. By the time my Lord had made it clear that my request was not going to be granted, I guess that was my offense. I then reiterated the point, but this time by saying, my Lord, that I am now making it as a formal application. I am now applying officially to the court for these armed men to be excused from the courtroom. And then my Lord said, you step out of the bar. I stepped out. I stepped out of the bar. And then after I had stepped out, my Lord said, derobe yourself. Supposing there was even a justifiable reason for that directive, all I expected, with profound respect to the learned Chief Judge, was for a reason to be given. There was no mention of contempt. Nothing was said about contempt, about any comment or any conduct. The next thing I heard, the next comment that was made, was my Lord reading what my Lord had already written, my order of committal to prison. My Lord then read it out, that I was being sentenced for 1 month imprisonment for contempt, and that I should be taken to the custodial center for 1 month until I purge myself of contempt. The same 2 mobile policemen with AK-47. They were the same officers who took me to prison. And then the issue was, where were you going to sleep? Where were you going to stay for the 2 weeks that you will be with us before you are transferred to you to complete your term? Obviously, there was no space. The custodial centers are satanically and diabolically congested. The congestion in the Nigerian custodial centers is one that even the devil would be terrified at. And then, I went to the cell. I had to sleep on the mattress that was on the floor. No bunk, it's just there. No, and then that was it. That is how I started living. Spending my 2 weeks in Ekaette Obot prison. But I was horrified The custodial centers in Nigeria is despicable. The condition of the prisoners, the federal government has totally abandoned the prisoners. People live like animals. What they call Gary that I saw for that 1 month was contaminated. I did not see a good Gary for 1 month given to the inmates. Of course, I couldn't have eaten those things. What prisoners are eating in Nigeria is not food. It is poison. You will find a facility that is supposed to accommodate 600 people, you have almost 1,500. So people don't even have a bed space to sleep. While I was in Ekaette Obot, a prisoner, a young man from the east, had broken his arms. Completely, he was limping. The arms was gone. For a day, for 1 day, 2 days, no treatment, nothing was done. The man was crying, was weeping. Until I heard him cry, I said, what is the problem? People were gathering, and I went, and then he was in excruciating pain. I had to give 8,000 to start his treatment, for another inmate to now buy some traditional things, to have his bones and his arms fixed. The Nigerian custodial centers is a preparation ground for hellfire. And then after the 2 weeks, I was to be taken to you. And of course, that is the day I was tortured, on the 10th of August. They handcuffed me. The next thing, this Enobong Gideon, with one, pushed me, started punching me, pushing me out, and then dragged me out of the cell, and then one other officer came, very huge, tall, correctional officer. And then the two of them, he put his hand, to my right neck, his hands, and then the other put his hand to my left neck, and then in that order, they carried me up with their hands pressed to my neck. And I was struggling to breathe. And it was under that very murderous situation that they dragged me with their hand fisted, tightly held to my neck. They dragged me out. All the inmates were watching the embarrassment. I was asking myself, God, what have I done to deserve this kind of humiliation? These two men grabbed me, carried me up, flung me, threw me inside the back of the van. They drove me so furiously from Ekaette Obot under that condition to you. By the time we got to you, the same Enobong Eyoren, the same officer, instead of handing me over to the officers in you, which is what the standard practice is as admitted to them, by them, he didn't hand me over. He continued the torture. The moment he had taken me to you, he had no business whatsoever with me. It is the officers who were in you, because I had left Ekaette Obot Custodial Center where he works. I was now in Uyo. So how come that an officer that is in Ekaette Obot was the one who now continued to torture me in Uyo? And all of them were watching while this happened. And then he ordered me to sit on the floor, asked that a clipper should be brought, and that I must be shaved, that my beard must be removed. And then he was telling me, look at my name. See my name here. Look at my name. I am Gideon Eyoren. I am Enobong. It's also known as Gideon Eyoren. I am Enobong Gideon Eyoren. You cannot do anything. You think I'm your chief judge. Look at my name. He was taunting me. This was completely removed. So how this had even come out like this within that short space is a mystery to me. This hair you are seeing grew within a space of about between the 10th and now. That torture, they haven't punished this officer. He has been transferred from one place to the other for misconduct, from Uyo to Ekaette, from Ekaette to Ekaette Obot, all for misconduct. They keep covering him up. He has been associated with murder, he has been associated with robbery. He was even a former inmate, from what I got to learn. I was even told of the cell where this same officer, Enobong Eyoren, was detained in connection with a murder case. And I'm told that his casemates in that case are now serving in Port Harcourt after they were sentenced to death. But for some reason, he was gotten out of the case. He was not allowed to stand trial. So this is the character of the person who tortured me. Now, because I know people want to know, with all that has happened, you have gone to prison for 1 month. Are you still going to go on with that case? Absolutely yes. Only my clients can debrief me. I came out stronger. I came out with more vigor. I came out with more energy. I came out bolder. The voice is even louder now than it was before. So what have they achieved? I'm not going to shy away. I'll still go on with the case. And if my Lord, the Honorable Chief Judge, still continues to sit on the case, I'll still appear before my Lord. I'm still going to go back to that court. The very cowardly attempts by the powers that be in Akwa Ibom, the failed attempts to silence me, Because it is laughable. It is ludicrous that people who feel they have political power can assume that they can silence me, without sense of modesty. That is the most tragic mistake of their lives. So beyond that, I also understood that God had a reason for taking me there. And of course, for the 1 month I was there, I totally surrendered myself to service to the inmates. In fact, as I was leaving from Monday to the time, the last week that I had in Rio, I organized football competition, dancing competition with various prizes. And then I undertook to assist some inmates who were granted bail to leave. And the first batch is 17. One of them had even left the day before me. The day I left, others had left, and they are being released in batches as their warrant is being signed by the magistrate. These are people who were granted bail for small sums of money. They had nobody to take them on bail, no family, no relation. So I took a decision that I was going to live with at least 17 of them. And I identified them, got their particulars, and then got people, bondsmen, people to take them on bail. And of course, that cost a lot of money. So that is just part of the series of interventions that I undertook. If I were to put an amount to it in all modesty, all sense of modesty, between the 27th of July to the 10th of August, when I was released, you'll be looking at close to $1 million that I would have invested one way or the other to contribute to the welfare of the inmates. So that is just a token. And that is also part of, because there are also others whose cases I have decided to take up. They have been there for long, no trial, totally abandoned, cases that had no reason going to court. They just dumped them there. Some of those cases I'll be taking up, after now. But those 17 people, I have to ensure that they are released. So I must thank the Nigerian Bar Association, the national leadership of the NBA in particular, for especially the immediate past president, Olumide Agbata. He did everything for me. The NBA stood by me. I don't even know whether I deserve such love. They stood by me. They defended me in a manner I did not expect. And they have also resolved that they are going to take up the matter with the NJC. And I fully stand by the NBA. I'm a member of the bar. I fully endorse whatever action that the NBA wants to take.